predictability. The milkman, the paper boy, evening TV. There's a heart, a hand to hold on to. You home, everywhere you look, everywhere you look.
So the first location is right here at the Grand Floridian Resort. Out in the back, when they first left the hotel after the scenes filmed inside the soundstage for their house scenes, they left the hotel, came out to this back way where Danny Tanner would have been right around here, given all of them their itineraries. They would have thrown them in the trash on their way in. They would have met Donald, Goofy, etc., etc. Out here, just out here in the back, getting ready to leave and head into the park. It looks a little bit different. There's still some trees in the back that aren't there anymore. A little bit of grassy areas that would have been there. Some shrubbery that has been taken out. But this is what Dad discovered to be the exact location for that opening scene. You can see a picture right here of the cast standing outside. Right over here would have been right where they would have gotten ready to enter the park. So right out here, right at the entrance tunnel to Magic Kingdom, which would have been where the cast would have walked out. There would have been some people walking down the stairs for the opening shot just over there. They would have walked right out of there, entered into the park for the first time, headed over there into the center of Main Street, USA. Headed out, walked around a little bit before heading over to the giant float that would have been just right over there in that area, which we'll get to in just a moment. So right over here in this section would have been where the giant genie float would have been right over here in this corner at the right here near Tony's restaurant on Main Street, USA. There would have been a giant genie float, as you can see in this picture right here, where Michelle would have became Princess of the Day, setting off a chain of events later on for the episode where Michelle and different things had happened. First, Stephanie would have went over there and then lost, but then Michelle would have became the Princess of the Day just after that. All right, so right after that scene, over in Epcot, Vicky would have arrived to see Danny, and he was getting ready to ask her to marry him, but after many, many attempts, he kept trying to get to it. In this scene, this is in the Germany Pavilion over at Epcot. There's some of the cast members or somebody there started dancing with him while he was trying to ask her, and he never did get the chance at this scene, but that would not be his last opportunity. So, all right, so at the next scene, Michelle would have made Kimmy, DJ, and Stephanie all ride the carousel quite a large number of times. After this ride over in that area, they would have exited the ride, stood over by a sign, as you can see in this picture, that says with a picture of Michelle saying Princess of the Day. They would have gotten an argument wanting to ride something else, and Michelle would have left after they called her bossy after a couple times, and then she ended up getting lost right at that moment.
All she wants me to do. There's Jesse and Joey.
So this next scene is right over at the Seas with Nemo and Friends Pavilion, formerly the Living Seas Pavilion over at Epcot. Inside the tank, you can see these two divers, which are not Jesse and Joey, but this was the tank where they would have had their talk show. Here's the picture of the two of them right over here. Inside of this tank, they would have swam around. Vicky and Danny would have been having dinner inside of the restaurant. He was still trying to ask her to marry him, but he never did get that chance because of all the distractions inside the tank from Jesse and Joey. Pretty cool that there are actually some divers inside of this tank. Really made us think of this great scene.
Cool. Vicky and Danny can get any privacy, can they? Oh.
Let's go get him.
Hey, cool job.
Back over here at the carousel, I wanted to mention, right over here, actually at the restaurant, Danny would have been given a call telling that Michelle had ran away. He would have gotten ready to go searching for her, interrupting him asking her, and then that would have been the ending to the episode. Somewhere around here, they were searching for Michelle, and that would have been the closing of part 1, and the screen would have said, "To be continued." So the first scene we actually did tape at was this tank scene, which actually continued into the second part. It was not the opening scene, but they were still in the tank from part 1 to part 2. In this part, they would have been inside. Joey would have been scared to leave. They would have actually maybe ordered a pizza this scene. Then they ended up swimming out. There's actually a shark in the tank. Took him a while to leave. He actually ended up meeting with Jesse. Actually ended up meeting with his wife Becky. He was very late, however. The lunch that they had prepared, Becky actually had to give to Chip and Dale. Didn't go to that exact location. Didn't exactly hit up every one of them. What we just had to mention, once again, back in the tank for this scene of part 2. So they actually would have found Michelle at a tea party with some of the characters. I'm not exactly sure where this location was. Maybe in Toontown or somewhere on Main. I'm not really sure. I believe it was Toontown. We could not visit this location. Toontown has been closed. But I just wanted to mention that right here would have been where they would have found Michelle, and then she would have joined the others to continue on the day. Back inside of the Grand Floridian Resort, right here would have been the location where after Becky would have gotten mad at Jesse for being late, she would have left, went back to the hotel, went up the stairway, and Jesse would have came down, played on the piano. This probably was not the exact piano. Doesn't look exactly alike. It could be, though. There's a very good chance, but up there would have been right where she would have stood. He would have played the piano for her. It would have been just right over there overlooking the lobby where she would have been standing. They actually have these ropes around it, so it probably, if it was, I believe this would probably be about the exact location. This bird cage cannot be seen here or whatever. Yeah, bird cage. But you can tell from that spot that would have been just about right where it was. The couch is right behind it. He would have been right here playing the piano. Becky would have stood atop of there watching from above. And then she would have came back down, forgiven him, and they would have returned to the parks.
I got a feeling the reason why these little stanchions around here and there is because the last person to play it was Jesse Katsopoulos.
Probably. All right, so right down this, the Hollywood Boulevard, which we're actually heading down right now, this would have been the way that the parade floats for the Aladdin parade that they would have been watching would have came down. On the other side would have been where Danny Tanner's standing and all the other cast members of the TV series. The genie float would have came down, and then two golden camel floats would have also came down. And then one of them would have turned its head and spat at Danny Tanner, as you can see from this picture right here. You can actually tell what side he's on because of the boat store in the background from Echo Lake. It would have been just right over there, just behind him, showing you that he was on the right side of the street when the parade floats would have came down. This is actually a shot right here of where these camels, which are still in existence today in the parks, currently lie. It's Hollywood Studios at the Indiana Jones Sun Spectacular attraction, currently not running a relaxation station. But for our next filming location over here, about right where we're sitting, I'd say more like maybe over there, the Tanners were sitting when they watched Indiana Jones run from the boulder down to here where it dropped out.
I love you, DJ!
And remember, as the day went by, she saw Steve and a bunch of different people.
That's right.
And she saw Steve as Indiana Jones running through, and then she stood up over there, over here, wherever, and yelled out his name.
Steve, no!
and everybody kind of looked at her like she was crazy. Yeah. Yep.
That's not Steve.
Yeah. For our next location, still here at Disney's MGM Studios, well, formerly Disney's MGM Studios when this video would have been, when this episode would have been released. Right out here actually would have been after the scene from Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. There would have been a little bit of B-roll of people walking in to the attraction and then showing the interior scenes. But then after that, they would have walked out. Danny Tanner would have been around here. He would have kneeled down and he would have talked to Michelle. And everyone would have exited right through these gates, just right over here. Would have been some turnstiles here before, but it would have been right over here. So right over here in Fantasyland, this would actually be the original location of Dumbo the Flying Elephant. It would have been the scene where DJ would have been riding on there, and just behind her, Kimmy Gibbler would have been riding, would have taken both of her shoes off inside of the elephant, as well as Vicky and Danny riding in the back and shooing away the smell of her shoes, plugging their noses, just right here. Just a short scene from a montage. And the montage would have continued right over here on the Tomorrowland Speedway attraction. You would have seen DJ riding in the front, I believe with Kimmy in the vehicle, as well as Michelle would have been driving one of the cars, and Danny would have been laid back in the passenger seat watching Michelle drive. And then finally, for the final scene of the montage, they would have had a Splash Mountain drop, something else done on a lot of the ABC 90s Disney World sitcom specials. The Splash Mountain drop featured on pretty much every one of those specials. All right, back to the Grand Floridian Resort. Right down these stairs would have been where Kimmy and DJ would have walked down. It would have been these stairs right here at the Grand Floridian Resort. As you can see from this shot, here is them walking down the stairs. And throughout the day, DJ had seen Steve and a bunch of different people. Now she was seeing him at the desk just over by the side. They would have stood right in the middle of these stairs. And for the first time, Kimmy would have actually seen it. Then he would have been standing over there, right there at that desk. They would have realized it actually was him. As you can see from this picture, he would have been standing right over there at the front desk, and the other two would have standed there on the stairs in disbelief. Staying here within the lobby of the Grand Floridian Resort, just over here, actually in this lobby part, they would have ran towards one another, looking like they were pretty much just running across the room, when really they would have ran out the lobby. Steve would have ran out across here, dropped his bag when he was running towards DJ, tripped over it and fallen. Then DJ would have helped him up. And right over there by what did not have that bird cage then, but you can tell it is now the side the elevator is on. The elevator has always been there. So you can tell that that's the side because no elevator on this side. And that would have been right where they would have ran and greeted one another. Right over here at the centerpiece of Magic Kingdom Park, Cinderella Castle. Right here would have been the scene where Jesse and the Rippers would have been performing on the stage singing A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes. Somewhere over, maybe in that area or over there, would have been where Joey Gladstone and Snow White would have been sitting at the table on the radio. Right over here would have been that scene. I believe. Did Danny ask Vicky to marry him over here?
I was just going to mention that,
yeah,
right?
I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, it would have been right in this area here.
Yeah,
where he...
all the characters would have been right over there. He would have asked her to marry her right there in that spot in front of the castle, which would have been near the closing moments of the episode.
Yeah. What a perfect scene.
Yep.
How your heart is grieving, if you keep on believing, the dream that you wish will come true. The dream